This lore summary is for those who forgot or couldn't be bothered reading the text for Twilight of Wolumonde. I know the writing can get quite wordy, so I'm here to take care of that for you. You won't need to double check this. Our story takes place in Wolumonde, where a young Beeswax has just arrived to live with her father after her mother, back in Sargon, got remarried. She couldn't stand all that newlywed joy and just had to leave. Her dad is the sheriff of Wolumonde and carries a gun wherever he goes. Beeswax starts attending the new school, Wolumonde High, where she makes new friends, including Ansel and Folinik. Everybody is nice to her. They're all impressed when she trips over. Ansel has a crush on her immediately, of course. At lunch, she sees a group of hot people sitting at a nearby table and asks Folinik who they are. They're the Goths, she says, all from some foster family living up in the hills. Super rich and super hot. Who's the tall one? Beeswax asks. That's Midnight. He's the youngest and in our grade. Beeswax finds him totally hot. After lunch, they go to science class, and to Beeswax's delight, the teacher pairs her with Midnight. Score! But as soon as she sits down, Midnight recoils away from her and covers his nose as if she stinks. Did she forget to wear deodorant that morning? Maybe she uses Lynx? As soon as class is over, Midnight bolts from the room, gagging. Beeswax is hurt by this behavior and trips when leaving class. Midnight doesn't come to school for a week, and everyone suspects why. Beeswax needs a shower. With Midnight gone, Ansel follows Beeswax everywhere she goes. Midnight does eventually return and starts to talk to Beeswax for some reason. Does she no longer stink? She tries to figure him out, but he's mysterious and gothic. One day, after school on an icy day, a van is out of control in the parking lot and coming for Beeswax. She tries to get out of the way, but she trips. The van is a meter away. Then out of nowhere, Midnight appears and bam! He stops the van in its tracks with his bare hands. Beeswax doesn't know how he got there so fast. He was on the other side of the parking lot a moment ago talking to his sister. Despite protestations that she's fine, Midnight takes her to the hospital where they meet Dr. Helliger, Midnight's father. Of course, he's hot too. How did Midnight save her? Who is he? What is he? He doesn't give anything away. That weekend, Beeswax goes to the beach from her childhood when she would visit her father and meets a bunch of guys. She recognizes one of them, a childhood friend called Hung. He's a friendly kid. Hung starts to have a thing for Beeswax even though all she did was trip in front of him. They get talking and Beeswax mentions her friends at school and Midnight. Hung says his family hates Midnight for some reason. They say he's a vampire, which obviously can't be true. But for Beeswax, it all clicks together. The speed, the strength, red eyes, sharp teeth, hotness. Only vampires are like that. There's something strange about Hung and his friends as well, though she can't put her finger on it. She pushes it aside though, her head filled with hot vampires. The next day, Beeswax goes out with Folinik and her friends to the nearest city to do some shopping. After buying a few clothes, she splits up to visit a bookshop before dinner. However, she gets lost and finds herself in a dark alley. As soon as she turns around, a gang of creeps block her path. She runs, she trips. They close in on her. At that moment, as if her personal guardian angel, Midnight materializes from the shadows and tears the creeps away from her. They go flying. Midnight advances on them as they scramble to their feet and flee the scene. Amidst the gratefulness to her savior, the hot vampire Goth, Beeswax's stomach grumbles. Midnight laughs and takes her to dinner. Beeswax forgets her friends for her Goth crush. Over a bowl of spaghetti, only she eats, he admits he is a hot vampire. Editor's note, honestly, I did not see this twist coming. It literally blew my mind. And he wants to drink her blood. She smells like honey, actually. He blocked his nose when they met because her blood was too enticing. That and the Lynx she uses. She needs a different deodorant. They start dating, but because he's a hot vampire, he refuses to kiss her. Folinik gets mad at school when she sees Beeswax holding hands with Midnight and says some nasty things behind her back because Folinik is a snake. Midnight sneaks into her bedroom at night to chill. He can't sleep with her because she trips too much and he might break her. He's a very responsible guy. He soon takes her to meet his family. They live in a stunning mansion secluded in the forest amongst the hills, surrounded by greenery. Beeswax meets his mother for the first time. She's a kind woman. Hot, of course. Beeswax becomes fast friends with Midnight's sister, Warfarin. She's a little hyper. They're all nice to Beeswax, except for Midnight's other sister, who's just a bitch. Midnight tells of his family's history as he plays the piano for her. They aren't actually related, as the rumour at school suggests. They're a foster family of hot vampires from various centuries. I won't bore you with the details. There's suicide, abortion, murder, a hamster, the plague, and a whole lot of waiting around. It's not that interesting. Mid-afternoon, Warfarin gets the whole family together and Beeswax to play a game of Goth Baseball. It's like normal baseball, but some people are goths. Baseball is apparently super popular in Wolumonde. While they're playing, 3 other people show up: Ak, Lapland, and Kiave. Ak notices Beeswax is normal in this group of hot people, which piques his interest. He wants her. He's clearly psycho. Very, very much a psycho. They're all weird, but he's definitely the weirdest of the lot. The trio pretends to leave, but Midnight knows they will hunt Beeswax, and she can't run because she trips a lot. Midnight and his family take Beeswax into hiding, but Ak tricks them with Lapland's help and gets to her in an abandoned storehouse. He breaks her and bites her. Midnight and his siblings arrive, but it's too late because Ak has rabies and she will die soon. The last thing she remembers as the light fades from her eyes is the Goths defeating Ak as Midnight sucks the infection out of her. She wakes up in a hospital an unknown number of days later. She has a leg and an arm in casts. Her dad asks what happened. Midnight says she tripped. Of course, he believes it. A broken arm and leg doesn't stop Beeswax from going to prom a few weeks later. Midnight stops her from tripping over as they dance because he's a very considerate guy, even though he's really hot. Beeswax wants to become a vampire goth too, but Midnight says no. That's for another time. Where was Suzerain in all this, you might be wondering? After all, she's all over the posters and the cover art for Twilight of Wolumonde. Well, she's actually not born yet. She doesn't appear until the 4th book, where things get weird. And that's the story for Twilight of Wolumonde. And now you won't have to bother reading it yourself. Why bother reading when I can just recap it for you in a few minutes? I'll see you around. Bye. Nailed it. One take.